What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly podcast covering the video game industry. Join us every Thursday for a discussion about the latest gaming news, reviews, and exclusive reveals alongside Game Informer staff and special guests from around the industry. I'm one of your hosts today, Alex Van Aken, and I'm joined by Wesley, LeBlanc. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Excited to talk about a cover story.
Absolutely. Wes, your camera looks really crispy.
Yeah. This is the Opal C1 camera.
Opal
it
C1.
is new. It was sent to us by them, and it is probably I'm not even lying, like the best webcam style camera I've ever used. Admittedly, I've only used like 3, but
it only works for MacBook, right?
Yes, this one specifically does, I believe. But yeah, you can see it looks great. It looks better than the cameras I've used in the past here. A lot better than the built-in MacBook one. And it has a really cool software that you can adjust the bokeh and like the zoom. And it even has, I don't remember the technical term, but it can just track my face so I can move and it would do the fun TikTok thing where it follows me all around.
Yeah.
There's like filters and all kind of stuff. The software is really nice, but I mean, more importantly, it's like a really crispy, high quality camera.
Yeah, I'm sure. I hope audio listeners appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Also, to be clear, Opal did send us a few units, and we wanted to say thanks, and we thought it looked really good, so we were like, oh yeah, let's talk about it and highlight it.
It has replaced my Logitech camera. Rest in peace.
Yeah, but they did not pay us for that message or anything. But shout out to them for sending some units over. It really helps to get our work from home set up even more polished. But
crispy. I like that.
Crispy. I would try one. I have one for my travel stuff on my MacBook because I travel with a Mac. They don't have Windows support yet. That's like the one thing I'm really waiting for. But yeah, kind of them to send us a few units over, and yeah, it looks really good, Wes. Also joining us is Marcus Stewart. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm feeling pretty good. I don't know if I'm quite crispy, but I'm like a nice like I'm broiling.
Oh, that's from the Florida weather, right?
Oh yeah, that's true too. Though we're about to get saucy. Because it's been raining a lot. Because as we speak, it's funny because like as we speak, there's a hurricane heading our way. But by the time this airs, it will have passed. So,
are you guys confident in that? Actually, not to because I'm actually going to Florida next week. So like it should be clear.
Next week. Like, they don't take that long, Kyle.
Okay, that genuinely makes me feel a lot better to hear from some Florida experts. So thank you.
You're like you are so fine. Yeah, like Thursday morning, the Florida will be back to normal. And yeah.
And Marcus, you said you'll clean up for me a little bit before I get there, right? You said.
Yeah, it's a common courtesy.
Gotta get that crimson tide, that red tide. Get that out of there.
I'll be outside with my broom in the street, sweeping up some
Kyle's
branches.
Coming, get ready.
Don't embarrass me in front of Kyle.
Your neighbor's like, I've never spoken to you before. I don't.
Who are you?
And I'm never going to again. Rounding out the show today, we've got Kyle Hilliard. How are you, Kyle?
Oh, hey, I'm good. Yeah, I have a Canon Rebel EOS T. That's pretty crispy, right?
There you go.
Yeah, that's crispy.
Go. My first camera ever was a Canon EOS, a Rebel T3, T2.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is 7. I think
they've come a long way.
Yeah.
Well, my first camera was the Game Boy camera that I borrowed from a friend for like a week.
Yeah. I guess to roast my brother publicly. Back when when he was a kid, he's 9 years younger than me. So by the time he was like 7 years old, the DSs were out, and I think he had a DSi or a DS Lite, and it had the camera. And we went through his DS one day, and we found all these videos of him dancing naked in front of his Nintendo DS.
Oh, no.
Wait, what was he dancing to? Like, was there music?
He was just no music, just
the Silence of the Lambs.
Just like a 6 or 7 year old, expressing themselves via dance.
Via dance
with no clothes.
Man. Yeah. Now you didn't tell them that Nintendo does monitor all of that, so they have seen that footage.
Yeah. somebody his Wii Shop agent is watching, but yeah, I don't know why you reminded me of that. Maybe because I had a Game Boy camera, but I was never possessed to do something like that with it. I would just take photos of like the shoes on my floor or something and like print it out via the printer. Yeah. Anyways, we've got a packed show. Of course, if you do want to support Game Informer, you like what you hear today, head over to your local GameStop, pick up a physical magazine for $6. No subscription necessary. If you do have a digital subscription, the Assassin's Creed Mirage cover story, which we're going to be diving into today, is now available to read. We got a lot of great features in it as well, unrelated to Assassin's Creed. It's a packed book, a lot of cool reviews and previews in there as well. So if you want to support us, head over to GameInformer.com/magazine for info on getting a subscription. And if you just want to get a print issue, you can, like I said, you can go to your local GameStop. Or you can go to GameStop.com/GameInformer and grab one when they become available online. $6. Great way to support the show. But let's wait no further. We're gonna get into Assassin's Creed Mirage. Wesley and I were the first journalists in the world to play Assassin's Creed Mirage. We played it for
first people outside of the company too.
Yeah. I always never understood sex. I'm like, okay, well, they obviously probably had consultants work on it, that kind of thing, and I never know the phrasing. But yeah, the first external people.
Yeah. Now, do you get a bumper sticker for that you put on your car, like an honor roll student?
I'm designing one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, I have one for Breath of the Wild.
Wow.
Kind of, with some asterisks.
Yeah. There's also plenty of games.
I wasn't the first, but I played it. I was probably the journalist who played it the most. Before it released, and that's what my bumper sticker says. It's a lot of text.
one of our previous cover stories that I went on, I was the first person to play the game externally, but I was not allowed to say that, and I agreed to that ahead of time, so I can't say which game it was, but I was like, it was me. I want the achievement. Yeah, but my lips are sealed forever, I guess. But yeah, so we got a packed show. Assassin's Creed, Starfield. These three dudes have been playing it quite a bit, it sounds like. Kyle has the word on our Sea of Stars review. And then Wesley and Marcus have been playing some Skull and Bones. And then if we have time at the end of the show, I have made it to Act 3 of Baldur's Gate 3, and I want to talk about it. So let's dive into our cover story reveal. Wes, you and I flew to Bordeaux, France, a few weeks ago now, probably 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, first week of August.
Yeah. And like I said, we played Assassin's Creed Mirage. We got to sit down with project leads and talk about how they're bringing the Islamic Golden Age Baghdad to life. The art director in particular had a big passion for that as he grew up in the region across the river from Baghdad, and just really was passionate about portraying the city accurately for that time and showcasing a Baghdad that we often don't see in Western Hollywood media, right?
Yep.
And how it's this vibrant, rich place, and how it's, the next playground for Assassin's Creed to take place in. But Wes, I'll hand it over to you. What are your general thoughts? You want to talk about our trip out there?
Yeah, so if you've paid attention at all to Mirage and what it's being pitched as, it's kind of like I don't want to say a back step or even a forward step. It's like a side step. They're still going to be making these massive open world RPGs that take hundreds of hours to complete. Mm-hmm. But, they announced this last September, the 15th anniversary of the first Assassin's Creed, which came out in 2007. This is meant to be their celebration of that game and where this series started. So it's not a remake of Assassin's Creed 1, which was heavily rumored at the time. It's not a reimagining. It is a new assassin protagonist, which is Basim, who we did see as a master assassin in Valhalla, and it's journaling his life from street thief to the master assassin we do see in Valhalla, and that takes place in Baghdad. It was a blank page for the team because we don't get any of that in Valhalla. So now it's returning character, brand new story. And they're using this opportunity to take Assassin's Creed back to a singular city that's wide and dense and full of parkour paths, because parkour is like at the heart of this game. And really just focus in on assassinating people. It's not about, building this crazy loadout with all these gear pieces and collecting loot of different rarities. It's about like fine tuning your tools and almost in a Hitman way, like creating an optimal path to your assassination target, taking them out and getting out. Yeah. And I, as someone who has been a fan of the open world RPGs, especially Origins and Odyssey, but walked away from Valhalla like extremely exhausted with what those games are, this was like a breath of fresh air, both as someone tired of massive games like those open world RPGs and as someone who's been with this series since the start. Yeah. If you're a fan of old Assassin's Creed and you've been wanting a little bit more of that, I think this is going to deliver based on what we played.
Yeah, it's funny. As I was preparing one of our videos that's going up, it should be up now by the time people are listening to this. It's just like a sort of if you're a fan of Casey Neistat videos, you'll like this video. It's that kind of style of me and Wes going to France and playing this thing, and we share a lot of our impressions about the game. And I totally lost my train of thought. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. What did you just say, Wes? I'm trying to re-trigger it.
It's for old Assassin's Creed fans.
Oh my god!
I like how we have to like hot wire your brain.
Yeah, we need like a lockpick.
Back to the
game.
series' roots. If you're a fan of the old games and have been wanting some of that, this game has you covered.
Dude. It was such a good thought too. I was like, dude, I'm gonna sound so smart. I'm gonna propel this conversation forward.
Well, feel free to scream it out while we're in the middle of talking about Starfield.
Yeah, no absolutely, I will. I think it was just like the idea that this is. The stealth really does feel not only like vibe. Oh, I remember what it was. I no longer have to vamp.
Yay!
When I was making that video, I was looking back at old footage of our NGTs for Valhalla because I needed some footage to reference, and I was watching the gameplay, and it was Leo Vader and somebody else. They had gone out and played it for the cover story, and they're showing off like the 3 styles, like the hunter, the warrior, and like more of the stealth stuff. And I was watching it, I was like, this looks nothing like the Assassin's Creed that I remember playing. Specifically the warrior, just like chopping dudes up, slow motion, swinging fire. I'm like, this is a completely different game. And not that that's a bad thing. It's just like this series has come so far, and it's a little overwhelming at times, honestly. I like those playgrounds, and I enjoy playing them for a few hours, but it's
like all you gotta do is open that map and then just stare at it. Like, what am I even looking at here? Like, what can I even interact with? Some of these icons are locked off. There's a guy with like a skull on him. Is that good?
Yeah, exactly.
That guy?
Do we like skulls?
Jury's still out on whether or not that's going to happen to me with this game. It very well could, but as we are playing it, and like its sole focus is on like, sure, yeah, you can get into fights and you can parry and stuff, but you're going to get overwhelmed quickly. And they throughout the level design and the way in which the world is laid out, the tools at your disposal, it very much is encouraging you to at least start stealthily on your missions. Like, of course you don't have to. You can go in and do it all messy and stuff, but I am the type of person when I play a stealth game like this that I like to, sometimes I'll save scum my way through until I get like the perfect run, with no detections. That's how I like to play Splinter Cell and Dishonored and stuff like that. And that's kind of how I approached our sessions that we played, because a lot of our sessions were completely doable without any of that stuff. But each of the missions we played had like a side objective. It was like a little bonus. It was like, okay, do this mission without taking any damage. Do this mission without being detected. And the second I would get detected on those missions, I would just restart. I'd be like, okay, reloading the save. Let's do this again. And it was a lot of fun. It almost felt like I was like interacting with this diorama. By the time I had like done the missions enough, and I was like, okay, I know the pathing. I know, okay, I know the timing on, okay, I'm going to wait here. This guard's going to come over here. I'm going to pull him down. Then I'll assassinate that guy. And it just got into this like really fun, almost puzzle adjacent experience. And again, this is something that I wanted from it, right? Like this is, you can just totally run through and kill them all and keep going, right? But again, that's not what I go to these games for. And it was really, really refreshing to be able to do that again. And I think that smaller scope definitely helps to accomplish that feeling.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's, I mean, even without reading you guys' cover story, like from the beginning, that's always been the thing that will make me at the very least start Mirage, is like just the scope and scale, just being, the knob being like turned down
just a little bit, yeah, down from like 10 to like 8.
Yeah. Like it still sounds like there's a lot there, but even just having like mainly taking place in one city, right? Is that basically the pitch, right, Wes?
Yeah,
that's something that I wrote about too in the story, and I'll have some other features going up. Is with these big open world RPGs, I remember specific locations, but it's never a city, because one city is plopped into this gigantic map that you're going to eventually explore. So you're there for maybe an hour or two of gameplay, whereas this is taking place in just Baghdad. And so it's been designed differently because they know this is a city players are going to be in for dozens of hours or 20 hours or whatever. And I get the feeling just being there that like the old Assassin's Creeds, it's a city that I can like get to know and memorize, like, oh, I'm here, so I can go up here to this rooftop and then slide down this pole. Or, okay, I'm over here, I'm near this temple, let me go over here to this like church or whatever, I don't know. And that's something that's like really exciting for me, because growing up on Assassin's Creed, these games were like gateways into history for me. Like I really enjoyed the Renaissance and learned a lot about the Renaissance because of the Ezio trilogy. And I'm excited for like a game to focus on a city in such a big way again, where I might feel enticed to go and learn a lot more about, Golden Age 9th century Baghdad.
Yeah.
And I only got to explore a little bit of Baghdad, so I can't speak to the entire thing, but just the 2 districts I was in, I was floored by how much of a city it feels like compared to the open world RPGs.
Yeah, and it all takes place it's like the city is surrounded by like this circular wall. And I think there's some opportunities to like leave the city at certain points, but you're always going to kind of be directed back to it.
And there's like, oh, sorry, go ahead, Marcus.
No, I was going to ask, because I'm trying to remember from reading your story, when you discuss sort of like the progression, like this game, does it have the same sort of skill tree or similar skill tree to like the recent games like Odyssey and Origins and that, does it?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
That's basically, that was one of the things I asked them, is like, so you've built this fan base around these RPGs where people have tons of customization options and skill trees and all this. Like, how do you make this game enticing? And I mean, truthfully, part of it is like, it might not be. Like, it is a smaller, scaled back Assassin's Creed.
Right.
So those people might not enjoy it, but there is still elements of that. You're not progressing through a skill tree or getting XP to like raise your, standard RPG level. But instead, you have an arsenal of tools, and you can upgrade your tools. So a throwing knife can become a throwing knife dipped in poison, or it can get this like really cool ability called corrosion, where it makes it where if you kill someone with a throwing knife, their body like corrodes, which mechanically means it disappears. That way, no one else spots the knife. And then there's like, you have smoke bombs, you have noisemakers, and other tools like that, and you upgrade them. And as you upgrade them, you select a perk to attach to it, and you can have 3 perks at any time. So I might have a poison knife dipped in corrosion that also I can charge up to throw really hard. So while I'm not, getting different perks on a skill tree, I am kind of tweaking the tools to my liking to kind of build, I don't want to say a loadout, but I can use the knives different than you might use them.
Okay, this is basically bringing you back to like in the old games where you were pretty much Batman, whereas like the assassin was like the same. Yeah. It was just about making your arsenal better, and I wasn't sure if they had done that or if they had kept some of the stuff from the recent games where you were like literally changing the physical properties of your assassin to the point where it became almost like super video gamey. Like One of my favorite perks in Odyssey was like you can literally unlock an ability that turns off fall damage, so you can just jump off mountains and land and just keep running. So I wasn't sure if they kept any of that for this, but it doesn't sound like it, which I'm happy with. Like I said, I'm excited for this to be another Assassin's Creed fan has been there since the start to kind of go back to that. Like, no, he's just like he's like a really good regular dude, and he's
he loves parkour.
He just loves parkour and stabbing people, and that's just kind of his thing,
Yeah, absolutely.
He does have one not supernatural ability, but it comes off the same way that supernatural stuff did in the RPGs. It is called Assassin Focus, and you basically like slow down time, select targets, and mark them, and then you hit like a trigger button, and he just glitches through the level and like takes them all out. And wherever the last person you kill is, that's where he ends up. And like in this world where he is just a normal dude who's good at killing people, it's like, okay, what are we doing here? And then we talk to the developers about it, and the narrative reason why it's able to do that is Basim was so fast and so efficient at killing that the Animus, which is, the little matrix of the series, can't keep up. So that's why he's glitching on screen as he performs these kills, which
I like.
It's a cool
honestly.
mechanic.
I
do too.
I like that conceit. I'll give it up for that. I'm like, yeah, that's weird in a kind of a funky way that I appreciate.
It's very anime.
It's cool that like, they thought about it.
I was like, I have a question why like a weird, crazy supercomputer couldn't keep up with an ancient like man, even if he is really fast.
He was fast, dude. What do you want, man? He was fast.
He had the Nikes on.
Yeah.
Any other questions from you all? We do have one question from a listener at least. But before we move over to that, Kyle, do you have any questions for us?
No, I want to hear the question. I am excited for the game. Like I said, I think I fell off after 3.
Okay.
After that, it's always been a dabble, right? I think I've touched everyone, and then Valhalla, I think I got the furthest in, but they're too much. And this is one that I'm excited to check out and play it more like you guys are saying, like kind of like almost stealthy, puzzly, rather than just like I'm gonna just keep playing this until I'm strong enough to beat that mission. Like I'm looking forward to something that's a little more thoughtful. That's my hope for it.
Sure. Well, who can from our Discord, which you get access to by subscribing to us on Twitch, just one time. Who can asked, this may have been previously asked, but does it feel like Mirage is returning to stealth roots of AC 1 and 2? And I'd love to hear about the combat. So we've kind of tackled the first part of the question. Yes. But combat itself, we can probably dive a little deeper into. It kind of operates like it did. It feels similar to like Assassin's Creed 2 in its combat to me, in like the parry system, and you kind of got like your basic attacks, and it's kind of just like that back and forth dance of, okay, I'm going to hit them. They're going to try to hit me. I'm going to parry. And then we're going to do that till they're dead. And maybe I'll try to like use the environment to get away for a second and pull out a gadget and then hit them with that. But largely that's kind of the loop. Am I missing something in that, Wes?
Real quick before I dive into combat, for stealth, since they specifically mentioned Assassin's Creed 2, I do want to mention that, like Assassin's Creed 2 and other games, you can blend in with crowds again or sit on benches to hide. A lot of those older school ways of engaging with stealth are back. Like you can even convince the Minotti, which is like the town's spokesperson, to speak highly of you and distract people and bring your notoriety down. Or you can hire like guards to come with you. Like all those kind of systems that were, I think, brought into the series in those earlier games are back. On the combat note, I do think so. A lot of people didn't necessarily like the combat of old, and I think this hit like a peak with Black Flag, where you're not really fighting enemies. You're letting them hit you so that you can hit parry at the right time and then insta kill them, and that's back. Like the parry insta kill thing is back for most enemies. If you parry them and then time it right, you can kill them instantly. But I think the difference here and why it works better for me is that this is AI in 2023. Like the enemies don't feel like they're just lining up so that I can do that parry thing like I did in Black Flag. They're like, I can parry insta kill them, but they're still giving me trouble and I'm still struggling to take on all of them. And like Alex said earlier, like you don't want to try to fight 15 dudes at once. I had at one point
he did.
We had the devs laughing, and I had like 24 people chasing me, and they were like, "There's just no way you're getting out of this." And I didn't. I died, and I kept trying, and but like you really do want to focus on stealth, and if you break stealth, it's possible you can parry and do well. But like my main goal, at least playing, will be, okay, I've broken stealth. Let's try to escape with a smoke bomb and get back into stealth because that's where I'm most powerful.
Man, it's so weird hearing that again. It's like you said, that was always the thing in the earlier games, but we've gotten so far away from that for so long that it's like a weird like returning memory of like, yeah, that is how I used to play those games. And yeah, it was around Black Flag where they kind of started throwing that out the window, where I was like, I'm in the streets just slaughtering dudes left and right, and I don't care that everyone sees me.
One thing that is back that I am not a fan of is the eavesdrop missions. They brought those back. Yeah, and
are they better?
They're better, in my opinion, but
they're better. It's still like, oh shoot, he turned around. I have to redo this, and that means this time it means going and sitting on a bench and rewinding, like waiting for the data to recycle, and then trying again. But I always feel like these eavesdrop missions, they need like some sort of UI notification that like they are suspicious, at least, you know,
because it'd be like a circle around them, like a cone, just so like I'm in this cone, I shouldn't be, or I don't. Yeah, I agree.
Something because it's like, okay, I have been so stealthy this entire time, but now he's randomly suspicious, has turned his back, and now I'm caught. And it's like, I didn't do anything to alert you that you're being followed.
Like I could just be a bystander that's just kind of close.
Like,
to
how
you.
do you know it's me? You know, and maybe there's story reasons for that or something, but I still found it
like, whoa, that hood.
One of the more frustrating parts of our demo.
They were like proud to have brought it back because this game is trying to like celebrate the series' history, and tailing Love It or Hate It is a big part of that. I do still wonder if it was necessary, but to their credit, it is better and more engaging than what it used to be, which is you literally just walked slowly and here's a crowd of people coming, let me stand there because that's what I'm supposed to do. At least in this one instance that we played, the target was walking like on a path, and neither of us went left, they told us, but we could have gone left, which takes you like not underground, but like below him, and you have like a parkour path there. I went right, and so I'm parkouring over rooftops, and I have to kill some enemies along the way while keeping track of him. So while it's still a tailing mission, which remains to be seen whether those needed to return, I did find it more engaging than what it used to be, which is just walking behind them. But
the problem with the eavesdrop missions is when they're working, you feel really like immersed in the fantasy, and then the second that you're caught, you're like, oh yeah, I remember this. And so like I feel like these missions are going to have to like toe that line carefully.
There's the sort of the margin of error between obnoxious and like feeling cool is so thin with those missions.
Yeah.
I wish there was and I think I thought this at the time when they were, you know, a regular thing of like, I wish they adopted the Metal Gear thing where I can just like straight up interrogate them, like just come from behind and get them in a chokehold and just put the knife to their neck and be like, because I feel like that would be a natural out of like, oh, I just got caught. Well, I'm just gonna force the information out of you now, like discreetly.
Let me start running and let me catch you.
They like go like this, right? You know.
Yeah.
Give me those dog tags
to their neck, like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, like I'm an assassin. I should be able to chase after you and like get the information out of you. You know.
Yeah. Again, just as another way for like, oh, this is going pear-shaped. I better.
Yeah.
Do this.
There is have we talked about the notoriety? You mentioned it, the notoriety system, and how it's kind of like a wanted system, and like the higher notoriety, like townspeople will, you know, yell about you to call a guard and stuff, and you can like rip down wanted posters of yourself, that they put up to lower that level. As well as, like Wes said, you can like pay a certain currency, like
Real
a token
quick,
you can get.
Is that tearing down poster animation pretty satisfying? Because for whatever reason, I got a weird satisfaction seeing Ezio do it. Does he just really yank that thing off the wall?
No, it's pretty like it's a standard animation. I do like that if people see you do it, they will start like ratting you out.
Yeah.
So you have to be very discreet about it. I tried to kill someone who was like speaking, and that doesn't go well. Like the
Wow, Wes.
yeah. So that was an interesting system. Something I did like about the notoriety, which I mean it's pretty standard as far as notoriety goes, but when you hit the highest level, a Shakira, I think is what it's called. I actually didn't hear it pronounced out loud, so I'm probably saying that wrong. But it's a special like elite guard who is almost impossible to kill, like very, very tough to kill. I did it, but it took a lot of my efforts and resources. They will come after you and hunt you down until they kill you. And what I really liked is I was doing this side content, the contracts, which is what we were doing, and I'm killing guards, and none of the other guards in the area could see them. So I'm like, okay, this is fine. But I wasn't paying attention to like the citizens walking about. They did see them, and they started raising my notoriety because they were talking about it. So I'm like going sneakily through this palace about to kill this assassination target. And then the elite Shakira guard just like runs in, and he's like, freaking out trying to kill me. And he just ruins everything. And I really liked that system works like across the board. It's not, I wasn't in this contract and it wasn't this isolated experience. Like the stuff I was doing outside of it is coming into my side mission contract and affecting how I play. And it was a nice like level of immersion.
As a shield from like the outside world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, let's transition to another massive game that we've been playing, Starfield. Now, Matt Miller is the person who reviewed the game for us. I don't know. Do we know what he gave it? I don't think he is. No. I think he's finishing it right now. That's why he's not on here.
Yeah, at the time of this recording, we don't really know, honestly, how he feels about it.
No.
Oh, yeah.
But check out GameInformer.com. The review's probably on the site.
Yeah.
And this is technically the Thursday. It's technically launched for people that got like isn't it like early access or whatever?
Right.
That got the super duper
the 31st,
Star Child edition, whatever it's called.
Yeah. So you three have been playing it. I have not played it. I can only handle one RPG at a time. But it is next on my list. So tell me about it, Kyle.
Yeah, so I think this out of the gate is sort of kind of explains where I'm at with the game. I'm about 8 hours in, which is a pretty big number, and I feel like I've barely started. Like to the point where like last night I looked at my clock and I was like, that's how long I've been playing? I really thought I'd only been playing like 3 hours or something like that. But yeah, I mean I know like there's a bajillion questions about this game and what it is and its scope, and we have not played enough to answer all of them. But the big thing for me, which is like maybe silly in retrospect, is as I was playing it, I was like, oh, this is like Skyrim in space. Like this feels like Elder Scrolls, even more so like than Fallout, I would say. I think it is closer to the Elder Scrolls side, I think, because it is more of an action game where Fallout did kind of give you some turn-based options if you wanted.
Yeah.
And I say that as a compliment. Like I felt sort of silly after a couple hours. I was like, I don't know why, like I was like Michael Bluth holding the dead pigeon that I pulled out of the fridge. I was like, I don't really know what I expected. Like this is a Bethesda game from the people that made Elder Scrolls and Fallout. It's just a new, interesting setting.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like my 8 hours initial thought is like, this is closer to Elder Scrolls than I expected. And then the other thing, which I'll be curious to hear what Marcus and Wes think of this as well, is when I say loading, I don't mean there are bad loading times. The loading times on an Xbox Series X are quite fast. It loads very quickly. But I am surprised at how much time I am spending just moving between loading screens from one place to the next. It's not a seamless game, which
gotcha.
I don't know why that's what I expected, but I was kind of surprised when it's like, okay, you get in your ship, that's a quick load. All right, I go to another planet, that's a quick load. Once you get on the planet, maybe you go to a different spot on the planet. Okay, that's a quick load. And then I get out of my ship and go explore. And that's been a little surprising. It's not really a game where you walk into your ship and take off and go to space.
Yeah, it's not No Man's Sky.
It is not. Yeah, which is there are moments where you kind of get some No Man's Sky energy when you're using lasers to collect material on planets, and maybe that's why there's that like little bit of a disconnect for me. But yeah, Marcus, and like, so that was kind of a surprise for me. It's like, oh, I'm surprised how much how seamless it isn't. It
almost sounds a little bit like Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds?
Yes, that is.
Yeah.
I mean, that is definitely a point of comparison as well. I found what I would call the cyberpunk city last night. I was exploring Neon, and it feels like cyberpunk, and the shooting feels a little bit like cyberpunk, which again, a compliment, because I think cyberpunk has solid shooting. But yeah, like the lack of seamlessness, not necessarily a knock against the game, but it did surprise me. I don't know, Marcus and Wes, I don't know if you guys feel similarly or had similar surprises.
Yeah, Marcus, let's go to you next.
Yeah, I would wager I've probably played the least so far. I haven't checked my hour counter, but if I had to guess, maybe like 6 hours. But like, again, you feel like, and you know that you have barely done anything in the grand scheme of what the game is. Like,
yeah,
it's like, okay, like I've been mostly trying to focus on story stuff. I did clean out my initial side quests, which again, as like I'm a Bethesda fan and I like love Elder Scrolls, I love Fallout. You know, it's been a while since I played one of these because like I didn't really play Fallout 76, so it's been like 8 years since Fallout 4. But I remember just like booting it up, and you know, Starfield has had this air of mystery of like, yes, I know it's a Bethesda game, but it's a brand new thing. It's like, all right, here we go. And within the first like 10 minutes, once you can move around, and I'm like, okay, I see like 100 things in this one room that I can pick up, and I'm gonna grab everything. And then the moment I went around and was trying to see like what's actually important and what's just like, I don't know, you could sell this for 0.5 units, I guess, the credits. And then they're like, oh right, this is still a Bethesda game again, like Kyle said, of like that weird realization, like, well, yeah, duh. And especially when people talk to you, which I will say, I think the conversations still have that sort of like that zoomed in kind of like staring into your soul,
and like
it's not
eyes track you.
Yeah, it's not as terrifying. I still think Oblivion takes the cake for how terrifying that can be.
But, faces look a lot better in Starfield. Some good looking faces, yeah.
They do. And I was gonna say, like, that's what stands out too. It's like, okay, like you can tell this engine, like I forget if they said it's a brand new or it's just a reworked version of the engine they had been using.
It's a sequel to it. They call it, I think, Creation Engine 2.
Okay. Yeah. You can see a difference, which is what I wanted to, of like, you know, especially for a game this massive. There are some like environmental stuff that I was like, okay, that could look better. Like the first, like when you get to the first, like your HQ for like the main story, sort of like the team that you're on, Constellation. Yeah. And I was like looking at their trees outside, and they looked weirdly flat to me in a way where I was like, am I looking at this right? Like something about the models look flat. But like other than that, like it's definitely like it's the best looking one of those that they've done.
It looks great in space. Like the moments where you're kind of flying near a space station, like that was the moment that I was like, this is a good looking game. This is cool.
Yeah. I also like there's so much to do. Like I'm still feeling overwhelmed. Probably the most overwhelmed I've ever felt playing one of their games. Like I know what to expect from them, and I've gotten better at like sort of like knowing how to filter the stuff that is important and can wait. But like you'll walk by and like you'll just get side quests added just randomly. Like you don't have to engage with people. Like all you do is overhear someone talking, and then your quest will get an update and be like, hey, you should do that thing that passerby who wasn't even talking to you directly. They just said like, man, can't believe there's these outages in the wells. And then you're like, hey, you should go look at that. Like, oh, I guess I should. Okay.
It's like little curiosities that pop up that your character picks up on.
Yeah, like they're separated in their own. I think they're called activities, which are just like smaller side missions. Like they become bigger side missions when you engage with them, but until then they're just like, I don't know, maybe you can look into that. But
I don't know which game calls them curiosities, because I love that.
That sounds familiar.
Is that Zelda?
I don't think so. It does. Zelda does like have like main quest, side quest, and then even another term, I think. Yeah.
Was it Outer Worlds?
Maybe it's just a me thing. Maybe I want them to be called curiosities.
Maybe that's just what you call them in your head.
Like not quite. You haven't agreed to a mission, but you heard something interesting.
Rumors is
maybe what I'm thinking. Yeah. Which is Elder Scrolls.
It's just wild that like even when I'm actively like in the beginning, I was like, I'm not gonna talk to anyone. Let me just stick with the main quest for a while. And then by the time I got to where I need to be, I had like 5 things without talking to a single soul.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I guess this mission, that's just how it's gonna be. I'm just always gonna have something to do. Like whether you like it or not, the game is gonna put stuff in front of you, and you can choose to engage with it.
Well, yeah, I think one of the early missions is like you are joining this exploration team, and they're like, "Hey, let's go to this planet and check this out." I'm like, "Great!" And just walking to the planet, so you talk to someone who's like, "Hey, do you want to join the military?" You know, and it's like, not right now.
You have a choice to be like, I guess I'll talk to you later. Like I'm currently part-time security officer.
I have heard this game really wants you to be a cop.
I turned down the soldier guy because I was like, well, I'm already a cop, and this is like the next step. And I don't know if I'm ready to make that leap. I like my part-time position doing like weird petty things. I also pickpocketed one of my employees and took his ID card.
Oh hell yeah!
I'm a scoundrel. That's my background, so it's okay.
I went into a club and stole some sliders because they looked pretty good, and I got like a cop showed up and was like, "You better put those hamburgers back, son." So I paid him off.
Out of your pocket. Did you pay him hamburgers? Because that'd be great. You're just like, hey, you should try this.
Hey, look at this hamburger.
Yeah, you'll agree.
I have a lot of questions based on what you two have said, but before I ask them, Wes, overall thoughts before I ask my questions.
Yeah, I'm about 17 hours in. I think I'm in various factions, which I would encourage you all to just say yes, because you can complete all the faction storylines independently of each other.
So it's not like a New Vegas thing where like if you pick one, you're closing yourself off to another one?
I mean, the game hasn't told me this. I just found myself inundated with faction stuff, and so I was like Googling, and there's sites out there that have like quotes from people on the team saying like, yeah, you can do all these. Like it's out there. Okay. So I'll check back in and let you know if that actually turned out to be true. But yeah, I kind of just echo their thoughts. This is Fallout / Skyrim in space, and it is still 100% a Bethesda game, which took some adjustment because I think I expected like something a little more drastically different. But now that I've kind of, okay, this is a Bethesda game, it's in space, it's a different setting, I'm having a really, really good time. It's just fun. I enjoy Bethesda RPGs. They have there's something about a Bethesda RPG that stands out among other RPGs, and I don't exactly know what it is. It's probably a combination of things, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And I wanted to mention on the loading thing, that is also something I have noticed. Like you do so much loading, and there's a lot of steps to go from one planet to the next. Like you're going to get on your ship and load into space, which is a quick little cutscene. It's not like No Man's Sky where you just zoom off into space. And now you're in space and you want to go to your next planet. So you got to open up your map and pick that planet. And sometimes you have to do like a gravity jump across space to reach that. So that's a cutscene that plays, which is a loading screen. And then you get there and you're at the planet and you see it in front of you, but you don't fly to that planet and land. You open up your map of that planet and then you pick the spot on the planet where you want to land. It's extremely confusing, and I don't think the game does a good job teaching you at all how to navigate its various menus.
No.
Now that I've got it down, I'm pretty good at it, and it's fine. I don't mind at all. But like, yeah, maybe I missed a tutorial somewhere, but I was struggling to go from planet to planet.
Oh no, Wes,
in my early hours.
To add on to that, I will say like the game has like the tutorials in the menu to revisit. I've had to do that a few times because it's like I don't know if you taught me this, or like it popped up quickly and it didn't last longer, and I've had to revisit some. And I will say that I think the in-game, like the menu, like not the pause menu, but like your inventory, like where you access all stuff, is like actively bad. Like,
it's pretty
like because it's like a radio menu, and it has 4 main kind of like quadrants. But then there's like 4 sub-quadrants that are actually like the important ones that are just like invisible unless you highlight them, where I was trying to figure out like, where's my just regular inventory of stuff? And it's like, oh, okay, it's over where my suit is kind of pictured. And then you see like, oh, if you go there's a little node and then the word inventory pops up real small. You're like, why isn't it just like It's weird.
It shows your most recently like equipped thing, so it doesn't always look like your inventory menu. It's all things that like you get the hang of, but it just takes a long time
like
to get
you
the
have
hang
to
of.
like it took me a while to figure out how to equip multiple weapons because it doesn't teach you that. It's like, okay, I've picked up like 5 different guns really fast, and they're like, and you can't just swap them. Like I was hitting like I'm playing on Xbox, I was hitting Y to like, oh, like dual like shift, or like how do I just pick another gun? I know I have like 5, and then I saw like, oh, there's a, the cross like with the D-pad. There's like
favorites,
yeah, and then but it doesn't teach you that, or maybe before like the game does teach you to it. I haven't gotten to it, but
it does not teach you because I'm 16 hours in, still going into my menu and manually selecting.
Oh no,
you didn't know that?
No. Yeah, you got to mark him as favorites, man. Then you can add him to the
my gamer cred just went down.
No, it's fine. I only got that because I was going into the mini because I was like, I refuse to believe like they would not let me hold so many weapons and only say you can hold one at a time. Like there's nobody can expect me to keep going into the menu to do this. And then I saw favorite and I was like, that's not the word I would usually use for this, but like maybe. And then as soon as you hit it, it brings up the crossbar. So that now I filled it up with like health and melee weapons and everything I need. But it was one of those things where like.
It's just tough because like it is a game that would benefit from a lot of tutorial, but like you could hear you could like just listen in on the meetings like in your head from Bethesda being like, if we try to tutorialize everything early, it's just gonna turn everyone off because there's just too much. Like I don't know if they made the right call of throwing you in the deep end. Like I don't know.
The thing is like
hard.
It's like I get that, but at the same time, because of the open-ended nature of this game, like players are going to throw themselves into the deep end sooner than others without realizing, because it's like the moment you touch down on the first like real planet, which doesn't take long, you're pretty much left to your own devices. Like I said, you'll pick up like 50 side quests just by existing, and a lot of those are like might be combat related. So you're like, oh, I need to know how to shoot a gun like now, and I've got 3. How do I do that? How do I change to I'm stuck with the default mining laser. How do I make it so I can use a real gun?
Did you guys also run it? I'm still running into this sometimes where I go through all the things, all right, let's go on the mission. Got my marker on my screen. I get on my ship. I go to the planet. I land on the planet. I get out of my ship, spacesuit on, ready to go explore. And then I'm like, why is my marker? It's on my ship again. And I have to go back to my ship and then like move over to a different section of the planet. Like that has happened to me like 20 times.
I've only had that happen once, but it was my mistake where I was supposed to land at a space station, but I thought it was like the planet it was orbiting.
Yeah.
So I was like, it was my error. But I had that same thing. Also, when I landed the planet, I was like, oh, I'm getting radiation like poisoning. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here yet.
Something I wanted to mention with like the note of loading, because there is a lot of it. I think the reason why it's standing out so much to me is like in Skyrim and Fallout, part of the game is, okay, I'm at this city or this very cool point of interest. I'm going to go to the next one now. So you walk there and you find things along the way. So far, Starfield feels like a lot of really, really great points of interests, but it doesn't have the walking in between sections that Skyrim and Fallout does because you're in space, so you're flying from a planet's point of interest to another planet's point of interest. And so you are doing a lot of loading, and then you land and you're like, oh, it's this really cool place. Load. Oh, really cool place. Load. Really cool place. And so I think the loading screen is standing out a lot for me because in the other RPGs that they have, Elder Scrolls and Fallout, you're not loading from place to place. You're exploring and finding things along the way, which Starfield couldn't have done. The goal of this game is for you to visit tons of planets and see tons of cool places, and I have seen a lot of cool places. I just think it took me some adjustment to realize, like, okay, this is what Starfield is. It's going from POI to POI. There's not going to be that fun, slow, ambient exploration in between locations.
It's kind of that.
It's not open world is kind of how I feel about it almost, Yeah,
it's kind of like a series of, like I said, just sort of like hub worlds with this. It's like, hey, you're in this city and, it has its missions and characters, but like there's so many other places that you might not feel, you might not feel pressure to to stay there too long. You're like, oh, there's other stuff I should go see. So maybe you don't get the full sense of what it offers or its personality as you would in something maybe like like Fallout and Elder Scrolls, like obviously those games obviously have like different towns that you visit. It's not like you're in the same city. But I think because you can still just walk everywhere seamlessly. You know what I mean? It's like I could walk from one side of Skyrim to the other one if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
And whatever I encounter along the way is that. This game is cut up in pieces where you can't do that on like that same grand scale. It's like if you want to see what's in a different solar system, you have to go through 10 loading screens or whatever it is and then get there, and then while also trying to get a handle of like we mentioned the sort of like confusing menu navigation and also just even the ship management stuff, which I'm still wrapping my head around of like, because you're not just flying your ship there, you got to kind of like live up to the space fantasy of like, oh, you're managing like the power of all the different systems and like, oh, should I got this much power in my shields and this much power in my weapons and this one in my engines, and like trying to feel like, should I just be moving knobs around and like flying? I don't know. Like, does it matter? I guess. And it's lending to like a strategy for like space battles. Like that's the fun, right? Of like the Star Trek or like even like Han Solo fantasy of like, oh man, put more power in the missiles so we can blow this guy at the at the risk of not having shield. I think because I don't play a lot of like space simi games, I'm still getting used to that. I'm just like, just give me a ship that I can just play like an arcade style. You know what I mean? And I haven't upgraded it yet or anything. I actually just figured out how to.
I'm scared of that. Like I don't. Not ready for that.
I haven't yet either. I'm still using the starter ship.
I'm thinking about just saving up to just buy a wholesale better ship and not just upgrade it individually, which I'm also feeling that pressure too of like, I should just get like a whole other ship, right? I shouldn't be trying to fix up the starter ship, right? Wouldn't that make more sense? I don't know. Do you guys feel like that upgrade pressure, even in just the inventory stuff of like, oh, I've got like 5 different spacesuits. And I can't tell which ones are better because I feel like there's disadvantages and advantages to both. I just want the one that's sort of better. I know you hate this, especially Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I've hit a point early on where I'm like, I don't really pick up a lot of clothes or guns. I found some guns I like, and I'm just kind of sticking with those. And then it took me a long time to find where to sell things too. Which was just a matter of exploring the sort of the main town, New Atlantis. There's a, I'm sorry, I wish I could remember the name.
There's at least 2 vendors. There's the Trade Federation, which is like the shady underground one, but there's one like right towards the landing port. I forgot what they're called, but
so it would be a great tip for like a listener. It's like, you want to sell stuff, it's this building. And
I will say there is the guy that's like, there's a guy that tells you right at the landing strip. He's kind of like the first guide. He's like, hey, if you want to sell stuff, it's over there. And there's also, like Wes mentioned, there's a physical kiosk nearby that is like a mall map, basically.
One thing we have been talking a lot about the technical side of the game, which is like absolutely a huge factor, especially even 8 hours in, it still feels like it's early and you're like learning it. But I wanted to call it like, I am interested in where the sort of the story is going in terms of the group constellation. Like they're looking up these artifacts that have some weird connection. But I did also have a moment recently that felt very Bethesda in a complimentary way, where I was flying on a mission and I got to the planet and I was waiting outside of the planet. And this, like, just over the intercom, there was this old lady. She was like, hi, I made some cookies if you want to stop by. And I was like, sure, yeah, I'll go get some cookies. So I went and like docked on her ship and went into her ship and talked to her. And she's like, yeah, my husband passed away. So I've just been kind of exploring. My nieces or my grandchildren are worried about me all the time. But please take all the food you want. I've made too much. Have some cookies. And I was like, sure, good chat. Had a meal. All right, I'm going to leave the ship and go back on mine and head down to the planet. And that kind of story is cool. Like that's a fun thing. Yeah. That's like the closest you get to that sort of walking around the open world is like just like other ships flying around that are friendly. You know, that maybe you can just chat with them or you can dock with them and have like weird little stories like that is cool.
I haven't done.
Oh, go ahead.
I haven't done that because I feel like every time I've been in space, I just immediately just want to fast travel to where I gotta go. I haven't done a ton of like just flying around because it's like, oh, if I can fast travel, like you can literally just point your right at the waypoint and click it, and it's like, hey, do you want to fast travel? Which is actually nice that you can do that without hitting the start menu. But it's like, well, I need to get there. And sometimes you see some ships flying around, but one, I'm like early, so I'm like worried those are like pirates or something. And it's like, I don't want to get into a fight right now and have to repair a bunch of stuff I can't afford. But now hearing, because I wasn't expecting if there would be emergent moments like that in space. I kind of just assumed people were either merchants flying around or just enemies, and that was basically it.
There's a good bit. I did that same one you are talking about, Kyle, and I did this other one that was really cool. It was like a party ship, and they were like, "Hey, we're just like booze cruising through the galaxy. Do you want to come hop on for a bit?" And I was like, "Sure." And they're all dancing. There's like a DJ, and everyone's jamming. And they're like, "Should we tell them?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm probably about to have to kill these people. Like, what are they doing?" And they're all being secretive, and they're like, "Yeah, let's tell them." And so they're all like partying and drunk and all that, and they're like, "Hey, go hit that switch over there." And I'm like, "Okay." So I go and I hit the switch, and it turns the gravity off, and now everyone's like hooting and hollering because they're dancing and they're like floating. Yeah, it's literally that. And I was like, "Okay, this is pretty awesome. This is cool. Like, this serves me nothing. Like, as a mechanic in the video game, I'm not getting XP. I'm not getting anything out of this. But like,
well, if I was a bad person, could I rob them? Could I take their stuff?
Yeah. You can shoot you can even. And I think I haven't done this yet because it's not how I'm role playing my character. But I think you can, if you kill like the pilot and everyone on there, like you can take that ship and successfully like put it into your armada, which I almost did to Grandma the other night. But
I mean, she did say take anything you want. I don't need
exactly, and she had a nice ship. I tried, and it was like
this still has a word about me are far away.
I mean, that's a good point because I would say that this game has a sense of humor. Like, I think it in the beginning, something about it, maybe because it's the far future stuff, it feels almost sterile at times, and because this is the beginning, they take the story very seriously for the first couple hours. Like, hey, weird artifact, space visions, go to the city, meet the constellation, the organization. You're like, okay, it's like I'm not getting enough personality. But then when you start doing the side stuff, like I had a mission where I was in sort of like the slums of New Atlantis, basically. And I was like doing something else. And I happened to wander into an apartment where I opened the door and this like weird like dog robot attacked me. And so I have to shoot this thing. And it was pretty hard because it was almost like over leveled. But I kill it and I go inside and I see a dead body. And I read this guy's email exchanges. And he apparently bought this like robot off the black market from a guy, and you just see their exchanges day by day where he promised this guy like, yeah, meet me at the spot, I'll bring cash and pay for it. And the guy's like, okay, but I'm warning you, like you better have the money. I don't play around. And then I guess at some point, like he cheated this guy out of his money because then the next exchange is him being like, the guy being like, haha, I fooled you. You thought I was going to bring the money. You just, I forgot him. He had a phrase because his name was like, he had a name and he basically was turning his name into a verb of like, you just got Kyled or something like that.
Kyle says that
and
often,
like that,
actually.
I do say that all the time.
Yeah. And he's like, and the guy's like, are you serious? He's like, dude, I will kill you. Like, you have 24 hours to give me my robot back or my money, one of the two. And the guy's just like, nah, haha, Kyle never gets caught. And he's like, and then the last email is like, you idiot. Do you not realize that the robot you bought has like a remote control option? Like, I can turn it on right now and have it kill you. So give me my money. Funny. And he just did not believe him. And then you kind of go like, oh, I guess that's what happened here, because he's just on the ground in a blood puddle. And it's like, what an idiot. So just like little weird moments like that. As like, I'm glad that stuff is still in this game. Like, it's got that quirky stuff. And it makes me even more compelled to not just maybe fast travel as much. Because again, this game really promotes fast travel in a way that I don't think any of their other games have. But they're like, hey, you can, even when you're on the ground, you're like, you can just fast travel to the different districts. You don't have to walk everywhere. Just do that. Yeah.
Word. I do have a couple quick lightning questions for y'all, if I may. Is there crafting in the game?
Oh yeah, so much. There's like 5 different crafting benches.
Food, your suit, weapons, like everything has a crafting. Not everything. a lot of the big systems have their own individual crafting
I'm still
systems.
getting used to it, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't.
And
really
there's research projects you can do for like bigger stuff where you can tag ingredients to be like, oh, I'm working on like a really big upgrade for my suit or the ship or whatever it is.
I do want to mention
this
real
is gonna
quick,
scratch my brain in a good way.
Yeah,
Man.
you don't have to play this like as a action game at all. Like you can just be a space scientist and persuade your way and talk your way through conversations. I've been doing that a lot. Like I haven't done much combat. And there's a lot of perks and stuff to funnel you into that. So like if you are someone who just wants to craft and go around the galaxy and like find more things to build better resources, it does feel like you have those systems. I don't know how far that'll get you in the main story, but like I do get the sense that if you want to role play Han Solo or role play a farmer or something like that, like I think the game has systems for that.
Yeah, a lot of the classes reflect those different archetypes too. Of like,
that's cool.
Not only just like your narrative, like your character's narrative background, but then the perks associated with it. So like if you pick like something more like scientisty, you're like, okay, you're just really good at like talking and like like mining planets for resources and doing science stuff. That's like your forte.
Okay. I know there's like ship upgrades and ship. I guess what I'm asking is, can you decorate your ship? Like, is there like base building in this game?
Maybe Wes would know. I have found a few vendors that sell like decorations, but I haven't I haven't bought any just because I'm still early. I don't want to use money on that kind of stuff yet.
Yeah.
But Wes, can you decorate your ship internally? Like set up little
things? Decorating the inside, I'm not quite sure. I haven't found a system where it's like, okay, you've opened up a menu, now pick where you want to put this.
Yeah, because I know there's a housing system as well, separate.
There is. Ship. Yeah, there's the whole Fallout 4 base building thing is back.
Sick.
It's called Outposts, and you get crew members. You select, like, every time you get a crew member, you're like, okay, I want to assign you to my ship because you're good at dogfighting or you're good at fighting, so you're coming with me. I can also put this character at this outpost because she's really good at manufacturing resources. So while I'm doing missions in space, she's going to be making sure I have med packs coming or something like that.
Yeah.
But as far as like decorating the inside, I don't know, but I know that you can like put items down, and I know in that trailer they had like the 60 sandwiches on a table or whatever as a joke. So like theoretically I can put stuff in my ship how I want it. I'm just not sure how, because I haven't been given a system to do so yet.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about the crew recruitment stuff, because I haven't recruited anyone. I talked to someone on New Atlantis, but I was too broke to pay him, so I tried to convince him to work for free, basically.
That's very problematic of you, Marcus.
Well,
you offer to pay him. I'm going to pay you in sun exposure.
Exposure, yeah. You get to see the world, man. Multiple worlds, yeah. It turns out I have more charisma than money right now. True to life, actually. Yeah. But I did talk to one guy in a story mission, and I think he's on board for me to get him eventually. But have you guys? It sounds like you have, Wes. But Kyle, have you guys like filled up your ship yet with like a whole crew?
I don't know if I've filled it up, but like I have my robot who can say my name. I have
which we all have the robot.
Right, yeah, you start with that. And the father and the daughter and this Russian woman now, and my old boss from the mining company is like along as well because she didn't want to work in the mines anymore. So I was like, yeah, come along, come join me.
I've heard there are like really interesting starter perks. Like I know one of the perks you can just be like, yeah, I'm a homeowner. And like
I
that's
have that
you,
perk.
right?
Yeah.
And like you start the game with a house.
I started the game with the house. It's in a galaxy far away, so I haven't actually made it there yet because the game's like, you haven't charted this course yet. You have to jump from like system to system before you can do the big jumps.
That's how they get you.
But I want to go see my house. I don't know why I need to have a house, but I liked the idea of it. And so I start the game and it's like, hey, just so you know, you have a mortgage.
It's the millennial dream, Wes.
Yeah, you pay for a house that you cannot access. Like that'd be like
it's light years away.
Yeah, like that'd be like buying a house in like Asia and never getting a picture of it. You're like, I don't even know if this is a nice house.
It's the same people that like buy they're like, I paid $10 to become a lord. Or I own 1 square foot of land
up there.
Yeah, a piece of land in the Andromeda galaxy.
Yeah, those salesmen are in I guess this galaxy as well.
I went to a bank and they were like, "You have a mortgage; it's $125,000 credits to pay off," and I didn't have that. And they're like, "But you don't have to. Don't worry." But I thought I was gonna have like payments every month or something. But he was just like, "No, when you have it all, come pay it off if you want it, or we can just foreclose it for you. Just let us know." I have the credits needed. I have enough credits, but I haven't been to my house yet, so I don't know if I want to buy it because I was also in that cyberpunk city that Kyle mentioned, Neon. Yeah. And there's like a sky. It's called a sky suite. It's like at the top of. I haven't been there either, but it sounds cool. And I'm like, well, maybe I want to live there. But I don't know. I haven't seen my house that I own yet. So
by the way, it stuck out to me that the guy that you're talking about, Wes, who was offering to sell you that like nice apartment, is also the bartender. Like, it's like, well, what is your job, dude? Like,
yeah.
And also, like, if you talk to him enough, he'll try to sell you drugs. So he's a drug dealer. He works the bar at the club. And he'll sell you an apartment, dude.
It's hard out there, man. You gotta have moonlight.
Sounds like a fixer.
You gotta hustle on Planet Neon.
Yeah. Okay. I've also actually what starting perks, Kyle and Marcus? What did you pick for your starting perk? There's some like increased health or something.
Well, there's your background, which is sort of like your blanket thing, because it's like this is your character's history. And then here's 3 sort of like main perks, because you can get more perks. These are just the ones that you start with. So for that I picked Scoundrel, which basically makes me Han Solo, and I got like basically charisma, like you're good in conversations, you're good with a gun, and I'm good with a ship. I think that's the 3rd one, like just great flyer or something. And then actually the perks, you can have up to 3, but you don't have to pick them. Like you can actually start the game with as few or as many as you want. And I only picked 1, which was Neon City, like my character.
The street kid or whatever?
Yeah, street kid.
Yeah, I have that one as well, yeah.
So like I think it's the thing where correct me if I'm wrong, Wes, is basically like if you do jobs in that city, you get more rewards for it. But then their opposing faction, when they get mad at you, the bounty is higher. Like whoever they feud with, they're like, if they get mad at you, the bounty's going to be like raised.
There's that, and it really kind of just boils down to, in Cyberpunk 2077, you had your background, and like I picked corporate. So sometimes talking to someone, if they were a corporate person, I'd have an additional dialogue option that says corporate.
Yeah.
So what I've mostly seen with this Neon Street Kid background is like, especially on Neon, I was talking to people like the bartender, and I had a Neon Street Kid option that's like, I know these streets, like you can't fool me, like I grew up here, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's just from what I've seen, more like flavored dialogue basically.
Yeah, like I haven't gone to Neon yet, so I haven't seen my perk in action yet. But yeah,
I don't think they're even called perks. I could be wrong about that, because they're actually like pros and cons, traits maybe.
Yeah, like they all have a benefit and a detriment. Yeah.
So I know there was one that they shared like in like the Summer Game Fest thing that I think Matt Miller did, where it's like you have parents in the game, and you can go to their home and talk to them, but you also have to send money to them.
It was like 2% of your overall income.
And that's how all the traits are. It's like, this is kind of cool, but it makes it harder in this way. So I think I only picked like 1, and I don't even remember what it was, because I was like, I just didn't like any of the sort of the downsides of any of it.
That's why I only picked 1 too. I was like, I don't know if I want to deal with like multiple downsides.
Yeah.
For another example of that, I picked Extrovert, which gives me like better persuasion chances. But on the pros and cons thing, I have increased damage when I'm with a companion, but if I'm by myself, I have decreased damage. That I just specifically remember that one. Yes, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Unless if I'm by myself, if I have people with me, I get increed damage.
You're better.
I
thought you.
Yeah, and if I
do more damage.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. We've overcomplicated this, but I see what you're saying now. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I like how they tell you too when you pick extrovert and introvert, to like you can't be both.
Yeah.
Right.
My only other question feels premature, so I'll say what it was, but I don't expect an answer. I guess like in the time you've played the game, does this live up to? I feel like Bethesda's been in a weird spot with their RPGs. Like it's kind of hot or cold with them, it seems. And I guess like, is this the next great game from them, or does it feel like it falls short of expectations? And maybe that's too. That's you're only like 8 hours in, Kyle. So I think probably gonna hold off on that answer. But like, what's your gut feeling? I guess.
One thing we haven't really talked about, which again, it's like I'd be curious what Wes and Marcus have to say, is I actually haven't encountered a lot of jank, right? It's not gone, right? There's still like, I tried to get on a train once and my partner just like the door closed in front of them and got like the train went off and they kind of flew off. So that kind of stuff I've been seeing a little bit, but it's mostly like fun stuff, like just like weird physics things. And in that respect, it is definitely a step above like the Fallout 76 launch, because that's ultimately where we left Bethesda, right? Fallout 76 has turned around a lot. A lot of people really like that game. They've improved it a lot, but like there's no escaping that rough launch. And I think at least, initial early feedback, my feeling of it all is like, this feels much more solid than maybe any Bethesda game I've played at launch. Right? I don't know if you guys feel the same way. And to me, that's
RPGs,
like,
you mean?
Yeah, compared to like
Yeah.
Oblivion and Skyrim and Fallout 3 and 4, like this feels much more sturdy and solid.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because it's kind of cut up more and not just one continuous world, because I mean, I played Skyrim at launch on PS3, so I know a thing or two about bugs.
Same. I just sold the game because I couldn't beat it. Like literally couldn't because of that door issue.
But that like all with the reason I even bring that up is like, to me it feels like a good first impression. Like, okay, I think we're off to a good start here. I think it's going to be impossible to live up to the expectations that people have had in place for it, of being this like truly endless space exploration game. There are a lot more walls than I expected, but it's still like, I'm still getting pulled in and I'm enjoying it. I'm not really getting upset or annoyed with a lot of things, and which is like, sounds like middling praise, but it's like a huge game and I've only like taken a little nibble at it. But it's like good first impressions, and I think people will be happy with it. If you loved Skyrim and Fallout and you're ready for like a new Bethesda RPG to sink your teeth into, I think Starfield's gonna be it.
Okay.
I'm kind of like I said, it's too early to say for sure, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it hasn't crapped the bed or anything. Like I said, I noticed that too, where I was like, okay, I haven't seen really any glitches, like even the fun kind yet. It's been less jank and more like, I don't want to call it like a technical glitch. It's just like there are a few remnants of like dated mechanics, mainly in like companions that follow you around, where like maybe sometimes they lag behind, or like Kyle said, like they get caught in things in weird ways where you're like, it's like, I don't know if it's like jank, it's just that this is just like a dated NPC model. Like it's not like terrible, but it's like noticeable as someone has played so many of these games now. I will say I do like that they have, when you leave them behind, there's a mission that pops up that reminds you like, hey, you have someone that you told to stay still, go get them. So I think that, because I had to leave someone
nice.
behind.
Yeah.
I left someone at a police station and then went like almost off world. I was like, oh crap, I have to go get them. But I think that again, I think if you wanted that like seamless No Man's Sky experience, it's not that, which Bethesda has said many times that it is not that, and they've shown that it's not that. So it's not like it shouldn't be a surprise unless you've just gone like radio silent on this game.
Yeah.
So it's but jumping through those walls does take getting used to. I think the space stuff is what I'm still warming up to, because like the underground stuff is like, oh, it's what you expect from Bethesda, it's just in space. But like walking around, meeting in weird characters, like we've mentioned, running into weird little situations of like, what, weird person or weird apartment, and then talking to people and all the ways that can go. But then once you get into your ship and fly off, it's like, okay, this is where it feels like a brand new game. And I'm still trying to get a handle on all the things to manage there. And I think I'm going to try to like spend some more time in space now after hearing you guys' stories about things that can happen. 'Cause again, I was like, I don't want to get into a dogfight. I'm just going to go straight to Mars or whatever, But yeah, once I think that stuff looks like it has the potential to be cool, because I do like that I can wander on my ship and be like, oh, I can leave stuff here. I can I see ways this can be built out and like fill these seats with characters that I like, you know, but I just, you know, TBA on all that stuff. But I'm having fun with it so far.
I think for me, like jumping in, I think a lot of people are going to be shocked for the reasons we've stated. Like it's probably different than you expect. There's a lot of loading. The systems are pretty complicated. But now that I'm about 17 hours in, like the more I'm playing, the more I feel what those cons were at first, kind of like being shaved off. Like I do think jumping from planet to planet is very confusing at first, and I wasn't sure if I liked it, but now that I'm doing it a lot and I'm good at it and it's like second nature, that's not really something I'm thinking about anymore. Like I'm meeting the game on its terms in that way. So I get the sense that when I reach the end, you know, I'm a couple dozen hours in whenever I finish it, I assume, maybe the things that were giving me problems in the beginning won't necessarily give me problems. And I think the end result will be like, yeah, it's a really good Bethesda RPG, if what I've played so far is any indication.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, real quick, do you guys like the story so far? That's probably the thing we haven't really talked about them at all. Just
main story.
Yeah, you guys hot, cold on it so far where you're at, or?
I'm not. Yeah, it's fine, right? Which is like kind of feels a little maybe more dismissive than I mean for it to be. But there's like a weird thing happening with Earth, which is kind of intriguing, and like, I want it. It's pretty typical of like, you know what, we found this alien thing and we don't know what it is, but it's something. It's like, all right, let's try and figure out what it is, you know. Like, so I think the what's going to be, you know, the winner is probably going to be those little small stories that you come across rather than the large one. But I've been happy to sort of pursue the main Constellation path. Like I haven't really gotten off that path yet. I want to see where it's going. So yeah, that's cool. That's interesting.
It's I enjoy it. It's familiar for me, which I think when people play it, they will understand more. But like, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of where I'm going story-wise, but we'll see.
Yeah, cool. That's good. Kind of where I'm at too. Just like, yeah, it's fine. I've seen the least of it, so you know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, interesting. Okay, well, before Wes has to get out of here in a couple minutes. I know you've been playing Skull and Bones, Wes. Any thoughts on that you want to share before you have to get out of here? I know you have a hard out.
Yeah, it's I can actually stay. I dropped a message to you. I don't know if you saw. I can stay a little bit longer, but
cool. Okay.
Yeah, Skull and Bones. I finally got to play it. I know some people have before because there's been a few closed betas, but this is the first time I did. It was the first cover story I wrote for Game Informer back in July of 2022. And after playing it, I'm more impressed than I thought I would be. But the caveat is that I wasn't expecting to be like, the bar was low, basically, is what I'll say.
Yeah. No kidding.
And I'm actually I had a pretty good time with it in the closed beta. I still can't get over the hump that I think I'm going to struggle with getting over forever, is like, why isn't this just a pirate game? Like, why isn't this Assassin's Creed 4 sans Assassin's Creed? It is a game where you primarily control the ship, and you can get off your ship and like customize your pirate and talk to people. But I just want like an open world RPG where I just run around and be a pirate, and I do it on the water sometimes and I do it on land. This isn't that. I will always struggle to get over how this game's mechanics came about. That said, what I actually played and what is there, I actually had a very good time with. It is almost plays like a slowed down third-person shooter on the seas.
Yes.
And I really enjoy that. It's faster than I expected, much faster than the naval combat in Black Flag. But I don't want to say it's a fast third-person shooter. It's a slow third-person shooter because you're a ship, but more arcadey and more third-person shootery than I ever expected this to be, and I'm enjoying that.
Can you say?
Oh, go ahead, Marcus. Go ahead.
No, it's like when you say third-person shooter, it's because I've been playing it too. It's like you aim and shoot the same way you would in a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like you aim with the left, shoot with the right, so it feels very natural to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna blast this guy apart.
Have either of you ever played World of Tanks or World of Warships?
I was thinking the same thing,
Really?
Alex. It's
Yeah?
so funny that, because I reviewed the Xbox 360 version back in the day.
I played the hell out of World of Tanks way back when.
Which feels like a slow motion like sniper game, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
until like the people who bought the like there were this is not anything to do with Skull and Bones. And World of Tanks though, there were these it was like the peak of the pay to win era, and people would just have these tanks that literally impenetrable if you're playing free to play. But besides that, World of Tanks ruled. Okay, so surprising to you, what are you doing, like arena style? Like have you played Sea of Thieves Arena before? And if so, is it similar to that where it's multiple ships happening, like fighting each other? Are you on teams? What's that kind of like?
So this closed beta is like the starting hours pretty much.
Okay.
So far I was by myself taking out various ships around me. It's a massive open world. You can just sail around, and that's an enemy ship, that's a merchant. I want their stuff, let me take them out. Or you do these contracts, which are basically quests, and they're like, go take out these ships because they didn't give me the roam they were supposed to, or go attack this village. Which I got excited. I'm like, oh, we're attacking a village. Am I getting off the ship? Am I going to sword some people? No, your crew gets off at the village, and you have to patrol the area and take out any ships that come to their rescue.
Okay.
And you have a bar at the top with like 3 different levels, and each level is a new resource you gain. So, for example, the final level was gold, which I needed at the time. So I had to stick around long enough and defend my crew and take out enemy ships for that bar to hit the gold, for me to get the gold. And then I was back on my merry way.
Sounds like an RTS a little bit in that way.
Kind of. You're not really...
not in the fact that, like... I don't know. This game sounds weird as hell, and I'm trying to figure out... I'm trying to compare things that I understand to...
It's weird because I think it's more simple than you might think that it is, too. Because it is just like... It's like a big open ocean. You have your ship, and you're just going around like shooting other ships and then visiting islands to complete missions. But it's a simplified version than what Assassin's Creed has done, because you're not walking around the ship, your deck ship. It's like, no, you're just steering it and then aiming and shoot. And then sometimes you can drop your sails to go faster or slower. That's like basically the game. It's like,
does your ship have an ultimate ability?
I mean, I don't know, honestly, but maybe
I wouldn't be surprised. If I have not found one yet, but there's bigger ships.
Yeah, and all the ships have health bars, and you're just like scanning. You're literally like scanning ships to be like, here's the ship's
spyglass.
Yeah, and
there's weak points like that explode when you hit them. It's a shooter, but you're a ship. I do want to know something that I think is really bad in the game.
I just want to call out, it's a shooter, but you're a ship is a really good sentence. Okay, all right, move on.
Something I was very disappointed with is the character customization. It sucks a lot. You go through this opening cinematic where not cinematic, this mission where you are, you're the pirate king, you take out a bunch of ships, things go wrong, and now you're back to square one. And I'm looking at a piece of wood, and it has water on it, and I'm looking at my character in the reflection, but it's just their face, and that's how you customize your pirate. And like, there's full body tattoos, but you don't even see them when you're switching them, because all you're seeing is your face. And you have, I mean, this is a beta, so maybe there's more. But you only have like...
Wes, there is more. Did you go, because you got to the first, the main town, did you go to the lady that you buy clothes and change your appearance from?
And I was excited because I could finally do more there. But in the beginning, I'm like, I'm trying to make a cool looking pirate. This is the pirate fantasy. And I have like 5 faces to choose from, a few hairstyles, and I can't even see the rest of my character. Very disappointed at that, but whatever. I liked being a ship.
Yeah. Like I said, you don't even see when you're even when you're playing in first person on the ship, you just see your hands steering the wheel. That's it. And then the only time you see your person is when you're on foot, but you're only seeing their backside anyway. It's like a kind of a behind the shoulder sort of a thing. I kind of chalked it up to it's a beta, there's probably more. Like I said, there's more when you have to play a few missions, but eventually you unlock the store where it's like a lady, you can buy clothes and change your appearance again if you're not happy. But it's not super deep. It's I got like a vague Chadwick Boseman looking guy right now that I guess I'm happy with. But other than that, it's I don't know. Cool ship. Did you upgrade your ship at all? I only got the second one that you have to do. I haven't gotten any more than that.
Yeah, I got a third ship. I didn't really upgrade it. I added cargo space to it.
Yeah.
So I could have more resources. But no, I didn't want to get too deep because it's a closed beta. I played enough, and yeah, I had Starfield to play, to be honest. So like, I put enough time to get a feel for it and understand it, and I'm walking away impressed by it, given the entire cycle of this game, with the caveat that the bar was low.
Same. I kind of was like this. I was like, oh, this is more fun than I thought, given its history. And I think the production values are pretty solid. I don't think it's a bad looking game at all. And it at least made me say, like, okay, when this comes out for realsy, I think I'm more inclined to try it than I was before.
Okay.
Also, the opening credits made me laugh because I think it's the first time that I can remember where, it's like Ubisoft presents, and then they show every studio that worked on this game, and like it's like Ubisoft Singapore, who were like the main developers. You're like, oh, okay, and then you think we're gonna move on, but it's like, and Ubisoft Tokyo, and Ubisoft Montreal, and they all get like the fancy like logo. It's not like just the word. It's
the
like
fade in.
They're doing like the montage of all the different islands and like scenic shots, and then Ubisoft Scranton. I don't know. And it goes on for like a full minute, and you're like, it's just this hilarious, like very beautifully rendered reminder of one, how Ubisoft makes their games, but also just the development hell that this game has been through and how many studios have touched it. I don't know. It just made me chuckle watching that.
What is wild to me is that it's currently listed as $70 on Amazon, which feels.
I mean, that's probably going to be the price, honestly. I mean,
I thought for some reason,
I don't think they're self-aware about what they could get away with this game. I think they're like, nah, this is one of our marquee releases. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I would maybe check it out for $30.
This is an Assassin's Creed caliber release.
Yeah, just
Hey, maybe it is.
I wish it was.
I mean, it might be.
We never know. Things. We haven't played the full game, but which I won't be playing. But it's I'm just glad that this chapter is.
I'm seeing
closed.
here that a video review has been assigned.
Yeah,
and you're gonna have to capture a lot of B-roll. Sorry to go to you.
Seems like that has been deleted from Monday already. I don't see it.
Do we know if Wes, does data transfer to the full game from this beta or no? I assume
I
not,
don't think so. No, there's not. I mean, we don't even know when this game's coming
out. Yeah.
Technically, sometime before March 2024, based on financial releases or whatever. But like those aren't. This game has been delayed several times. Another delay is dropping the bucket at this point.
Well, they heard what you said about the character creator, so we got another delay coming.
Wow.
I mean, if it means I get to make a better pirate, sure. Why not?
At this point. Well, thanks for educating us. As we wrap up the show, I want to go over to Kyle to talk about Sea of Stars. I know you did a whole deep dive on all things Nintendo, correct?
Yeah. If you want to hear more, I talked with it a lot with Brian, so we'll keep this short because it's a big episode. But I mean, the sort of the thesis of it all is great. I really love that game. I gave it a 9 out of 10, and it's like, if you like Chrono Trigger, if you like that era of RPGs, which I happen to really like that era of RPGs, like Super Mario RPG, Earthbound. I love Golden Sun on the Game Boy Advance. Like, it feels like one of those.
Yeah.
Right. But that being said, if you're like, I never really played any of those games, like Sea of Stars is like a fantastic sort of entry point. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, this isn't me saying like, oh, this is only for 16-bit RPG fans. Like, this is a game that will show you why those styles of games are so beloved as well, because it's just really smooth. It plays really well. The story is super engaging and interesting. I like all the characters. It is a game that I began reviewing and finished. Right, beat the final boss, wrote the review and turned it in, and installed Starfield on my Xbox Series X and booted Sea of Stars back up on my Steam Deck and played it for like another 10 or 15 hours. Like, I really, really was like engaged, and like there's a lot of stuff to do after you beat that first boss, which is almost like a little bit of a wink of like, hey, it's probably a good idea to kind of try to be a completionist if you're going to check out Sea of Stars. But highly recommend. It's just like a really smooth, beautiful game with a fun story and good combat. It's just like, it checks a lot of things. It's really, really fantastic.
How long did it take you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh yeah, so main story, like if you just want to, not mess around with side quests too much and just start to see the end, is it like 25 hours, give or take? And then I think, like I said, I spent about another 10 hours on it, so I'm about 35 hours. And there's one like final secret I couldn't figure out, and that I'm like waiting now, like for the internet to figure out. I'm like Googling, it's like been available now for a week. Maybe maybe it's been solved by this point, but I'm like, I will load that save up again absolutely once the internet figures out what the heck to do with these fragile hammers.
My one question was going to be like, I love The Messenger, Studio's last game. The Messenger gets weird. Does this game get weird? Without spoiling?
Yeah, I mean there's weird stuff in it. I'll say that. Like there's a lot of twists. Margaret on here at Game Informer, who's on the production side of things, has been sort of updating me as she's been playing it. And like literally while we've been in this podcast, she was like, I can't believe how twisty this game is. Like this keeps throwing stuff at me that's fun and interesting.
Okay. She's playing games during the work hour. I don't know about this. I'm gonna have to...
way to snitch on Margaret.
Yeah, wow.
I think
Margaret,
actually
it's 3 p.m. It's not 5. What do you?
I think specifically she said last night such and such happened. Okay.
She's covering her tail.
Yeah.
Look, Margaret is very important to the health of Game Informer. We can't do anything to compromise her.
This is true. No, I'm glad to hear that, because again, one of the things I love about The Messenger is how it was also very twisty.
Yeah.
So I was hoping Sea of Stars would be the same, and it sounds like it is. So I'm excited.
Yeah, they're very different games, and they do take place in the same universe. So there's some fun Messenger Easter eggs in Sea of Stars.
That's cool.
But they're radically different. Messenger is like a sort of a Ninja Gaiden Super Metroid kind of mashup, and this is like, I mean, we even put a feature together on it, Alex. I think you and Charles, where it's like they specifically are like Mario RPG and Chrono Trigger are like the main inspirations for this game, and the good stuff about those two games absolutely comes through in Sea of Stars for sure.
And I know one of the main I don't know if is it a mechanic or a system where you like you can like control the sun and the moon or something. That's kind of like I know like just from like the title of the game and like the themes. There's like you're solving puzzles with that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, you're solving puzzles with that primarily. It's like a really visually cool thing because it uses like modern video game lighting on a sort of a 16-bit template, and it looks really cool to just change from day to night. But primarily, other than it looking really cool, it's for puzzle solving, stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah. It's not like the game's different at night. Oh, I got to change it to day to change my attacks. It doesn't. It's not that crazy.
Yeah. Cool.
Man, guys, can we just take like a month off to catch up on all these games?
You
guys want to take a pact, and let's just do that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do that. I am gonna take off a couple days this week. I should probably tell our boss. No. There are a lot of games. I am not playing any other game right now. Actually, that's not true. I played Fortnite because it's a new Fortnite
New season rules.
Yeah, I would like to dive into that in the coming weeks, Wes, with you. But I'm just trying to wrap up Baldur's Gate. I'm 42 hours in, so quite a bit more. I think last week I was around maybe 15 to 20. I have doubled my time in the game. That it has gone places, and it has been a long time. A very long time since I've been this deep into an RPG, to where like I'm like, oh yeah, like RPGs are cool because like you fight gods and shit, and
you should check out Sea of Stars.
Yeah, and it's all D&D stuff, but it's been a long time since I have felt that experience, because like I have ADHD really bad, and also I'm just busy, and so like I will often dip my toes into games and like try to appreciate them, and for RPGs specifically, right? It's like, okay, this is cool. I see where this is going. Like Persona 4 Golden, I played through a dungeon or two of that, and I was like, I like these characters a lot, and these systems. Also, the soundtrack's great, but like, I gotta keep moving. Like I know there are people out there that they only play RPGs, and the fact that I do that is baffling to them. But I'm very glad that Baldur's Gate has just, the story has hooked me. I think it's incredible. The characters, I mean, I tweeted about this or I blue skied it or something. Whatever it is.
As one does.
Posted to the internet.
Yeah, I posted to the internet on the World Wide Web that, for instance, like Asterion, I hated him at the beginning of the game. I thought he was just like a really stereotypical character, right? And was just like a trope. And you know, I think they know that. I mean, it's obvious they did that on purpose. And now he's got like all these layers to him, and he's like one of my favorite characters. And I'm deeply invested in solving his problems because he's my bud, he's my pal.
Yeah, I'm glad you could see past the stereotypes.
Yes,
and grow as a person.
Yeah, you're right, Marcus. My Asterion types.
He's a vampire, right?
Spoilers.
I thought that's what people have been saying, right? Is that a spoiler? I've seen that all over the place.
It is technically an early game spoiler, but yeah, he is.
Oh, okay.
But
he looks like one on the poster. So.
Yeah, it's much deeper than that. I think he's referred to in the game as the Pale Elf.
Okay. Do you have a relationship update? You said you were trying to
Shadowheart.
Yeah, are you guys? Is everything okay?
We actually just committed to ourselves that we were like going to be together. I currently haven't seen the culmination of that because it kind of happened during when a lot of stuff was happening. But Shadowheart has turned away from the darkness.
Oh, you changed her.
She changed herself, Marcus. I was certainly encouraging her and clicking button prompts to hopefully make her change, but she did that work herself. And you know, it was after that she was like, I just did things, and I can't get into it.
Hey, look, we're happy for you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
We're invited. Can we come to the in-game wedding if there is one?
I don't know if there will be one or not, but I'll let you know.
Like, we'll start a multiplayer session just to come.
TBD. But yeah, Shadowheart. She's got my heart, you know. She's eclipsing the other things in the game.
It's beautiful.
Oh, another Sea of Stars.
Casting a shadow on my heart. Yeah.
But the poem you wrote her.
Yeah. But I've also.
This game's coming to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've also just dialed in my characters to where they are just. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I am still getting by the skin of my teeth in some of these bigger fights, but my folks are beefy. I've got Lae'zel, she's the fighter, and I've got it to where like she can get like six attacks in one turn. It's just busted. Like I've been in a couple fights where like normally one of my characters will take like 2 to 3 turns to take out an enemy, right? If it's a bigger one. I've had fights where like Lae'zel will kill like 3 people back to back and then in the turn, and I'm like, and they went from like full health to 0. But when she gets when the dice roll in your favor, it feels so good.
Is she a barbarian?
She's a fighter. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They can be pretty broken in D&D as well.
Yeah. So
I was gonna say, have you gotten any critical failures? Like, what's the funniest failure you've gotten?
I was talking back to a god and they literally killed me, and like I had to load my save. And I lost like I lost like 30 minutes of progress because I was like talking smack to a god, and I was like, what? There's no way they don't have that much power, and they literally wiped my entire party.
You talked to God and said, I don't believe you have that much power.
Well, I don't know the D&D. I'm like, you're saying you're God, I don't believe you. Like, I'm always the kind of person in these games where I'm like, you got to prove it to me. Like, I don't believe you that you're like this all powerful thing.
That seems unhealthy.
That's basically you've seen the end of Ghostbusters. You know that never goes.
I'm a skeptic. Well. Yeah. Was there another question I didn't answer? I don't remember. I'm kind of all over the place, but I like the game a lot, man. It's really good.
I'm trying to get through Starfield so that I can play this. I have Baldur's Gate on PC, but I work at my PC and I kind of just want to play on PlayStation.
Yeah.
And
I would not recommend it on Steam
weekend.
Deck.
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
Yeah, it's rough. I tried on Steam Deck and you have to very blurry. Very blurry.
Hey, but No, it's not bad on Steam Deck. Sea of Stars.
Sea of Stars.
That's pretty much how I played it exclusively, and it was great.
Hell yeah. Well, cool. I think that's gonna do it for the show this week. Thank you everyone for listening. Again, if you did enjoy it, you want to learn more about Assassin's Creed, head over to our coverage hub, GameInformer.com/Assassin's Creed Mirage. We'll have all of our exclusive features and interviews and all that will be up there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/GameInformer. Go purchase a magazine, a digital subscription to support us, or grab a single issue for $5.99, either in store or online. And follow these fellas here. Follow Kyle at Kyle M. Hilliard on all the social places, but we're emphasizing Blue Sky.
I actually use Blue Sky a lot.
Yeah,
so,
we're emphasizing Blue Sky here. I gave out either a code or two in the Discord for that. We talked about it last week. Marcus, you can follow him at Marcus Stewart 7. Where are you at? Let's do the social check-in for you, Marcus. Where are you putting your thoughts onto the world?
I mean, not most places. I mean, Twitter by default, out of habit. I have a Blue Sky. I just keep forgetting that I have one.
That's fair.
Because I'm not a big social media guy, so like adding one more it's still an adjustment. Yeah. So yeah. But I am there.
Cool. And then you can follow Wes at LeBlanc Wes.
Or where just Wesley LeBlanc at the whatever the Blue Sky thing is.
Okay,
but I'm just Wesley LeBlanc there. Yeah, I did secure my name on Blue Sky, which I need to use it more so that I can, have some purpose. But
yeah. And then you can follow me on Blue Sky and X/Twitter and Instagram, all that stuff. I definitely am like Kyle, where I'm trying to just embrace Blue Sky because it's a much more enjoyable experience versus the others right now. And then I post photos from like travel and stuff on my normal Instagram. All of them are at the same handle. It's Van Aken. So yeah, go listen to All Things Nintendo. Check out Kyle's deep dive into Sea of Stars alongside Brian Shea. And shout out to our podcast editor, Matt Storm, aka DJ Stormageddon. You can listen to their podcasts, Fun in Games, and their BioWare focused podcast, which is called Reignite. That's going to do it for this week. We will see you next Thursday. Have a good week, everyone. Bye.